I may be making a mistake by not chopping. I know
Are you talking
opponents
about 2-5?
just yeah.
I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, no, it definitely can be a mistake. I know people get very aggravated, it seems like, when you don't chop.
Well,
And
I mean that could be a good thing though. That could work in your favor.
right, it's helped me get in some interesting spots this last year. But yeah,
But at the
I've
same time, I mean, some guys get tilted and they'll table change or they'll leave, and if he's kind of a fishy guy, you're not really looking to do that.
right.
I'm more about creating a fun environment for everybody, and I'm a lot less about making contentious environments that people don't want to come back to. I think there's just too much of that. So now I know Snowy likes King Queen a lot because it gives you a hand to bluff with on ace high boards. Um, and I think it goes back and forth between 3-betting and calling here. Wow, this is interesting. What do you usually do here? I mean, I see a lot of guys call.
I don't really like calling. Uh, it's so weird because we just saw that ace 10 hand that it's telling us to fold, and then this hand it's saying to raise, right?
Well, I think part of it is because of board coverage reasons. Snowy has like all the suited aces and all the ace king and ace queen combos. So it doesn't really need any more ace X in its range.
Right.
But it does need more king and queen X.
Right, that makes sense.
So from a balance perspective, I guess that makes sense. Here I usually go up to 6 or 650 if I'm going to 3-bet. I think calling is also fine, especially if there's a fish in the big blind. And if given the option with a fish in the big blind, I would always elect to call here. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I would have done that. I would have done the same.
Now here, I like following through because I think you can fold out a lot of ace X, especially if Snowy doesn't have the ace of clubs. Even though this is a really connected board. You have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I would just, I'm thinking just follow through.
Yeah, and then I think my plan would be to I think I would bet the turn for a value if I hit a king or a queen. I would follow through if a jack came off.
Right, me too.
I'm not sure what I would do with a 9, an 8, a blank, or a club.
An ace.
An ace is an interesting card because Snowy's always going to continue if it has the ace of clubs in its hand.
Right.
I really want to see what the eval says here. And then also if you have Snowy Pro, which is a little bit more expensive, I think it's like $300 a year, you can get the complete range breakdown. So it'll show you what it would do with every combo in this situation.
Oh, I see.
Which is really, really valuable. I just don't have it on this laptop. Now here, I mean, I think this is a really clear bet because Snow is going to continue with weaker king X floats, 10X, 9s, 8s, 8, 7 suited. Rarely getting check raised. Not really ever value owning ourselves. But at the same time, like I wouldn't go super big here. I think I would go like half pot.
Me too.
Yeah, it's saying to check if your only option is to check or go pot, it would check. So now this is a really sick spot. That's a really sick spot.
That's interesting.
I honestly have no idea what to do. I know I'm supposed to be the poker coach, but this is a really weird spot.
I mean, any of its big club combos, it may be raising on that flop.
I had a pretty solid conversation with Javier Zarco the other day. He's just a beast in these MTTs. And what he said was really interesting. He said that on turns that seem to benefit hero much more than villain, it doesn't make a lot of sense for villain to start semi-bluffing on that card. So even though we're at the peak of our range here, Snowy doesn't have much of an incentive to check raise because we have so much king X here. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like I know Snowy is thinking about this situation, and I know that any 5-10 player worth his salt is thinking about this situation and knows that we have a lot of king X, and like if he had clubs, he probably wouldn't elect to just check raise here as a bluff. Like that's kind of crazy and suicidal. So because of that, I would definitely lean toward folding here.
Yeah, me too.
Now that I thought about it, but it just seems so nitty to
fold.
Yeah, like I guess if I was playing against Isildur, like I would have to just stick it in. But I think against the majority of people, you should probably just fold there. I think they're under bluffing in this spot. So, really frustrating. I wish I could just peek at these cards.
What does the eval say? All right.
What a weird spot.
We could see what it had. We could have looked it up.
I wish, yeah. I'd really like to see what it's doing with that. Now, Queen 6 suited. I usually just check back here. Do you how often are you blasting in this spot?
He just splatted this small.
Yeah,
no, I would just check back for sure.
Yeah, usually I think I would like raise with all my broadways and my suited aces, but not looking to go crazy with like Queen 6. But I see a lot of guys do it. Guys that I respect. So, I don't see much of an incentive to raise here. I'm usually just going to continue as a call. And
the call again.
Yeah, I feel like Snowy's just bluffing enough with Jack 10 and like random King X hands with the King of Diamonds that we have to just call. So an interesting spot.
Yeah.
I feel like Snowy's always betting with Diamonds and Jack 10. And probably any King X hand. But I'm wondering if it would ever check call with worse than Queen 6. Right, like what types of hands would it bet the flop, bet the turn, and check call the river with that's worse than Queen 6?
Like ace 9, ace diamonds. Oh.
Yeah, I really want to see what the Evo does. I would probably just check here.
I would check too.
Yeah, let's see half pot. Yeah, I think Snow's thought process is along the lines of what we were saying. It's just not much that I can check call with.
I don't see a reason to turn something like that into a bluff. Yeah, Jack 8. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, because it's not enough to just consistently be ahead of the range of hands that Snowy has on that river. You also have to get called by worse more than half of the time,
Right.
which I just don't think that's very likely. Ace Jack, like I said, I'm pretty much always going up to $7 here. And with Ace Jack, this is a spot where I might actually check. You know how I kind of lectured you on how most guys will just always follow through with Ace X and 3-bet pots?
Yeah.
Like, this would be one of the spots to check and kind of mimic what you would do with Kings, Queens, Jacks, Tens.
Right.
And balance out your range a
Just a
little bit.
balance. Yeah, I get it. For sure.
So this is I don't know if this is an optimal thing to do, but it seems to work really well for me.
I do the same thing, man. It works really well. I agree.
Because it's just Ace Jack is not a hand that I'm trying to go for 3 streets with. I just don't think that I'm getting called that light. So, Snowy's betting, but I really think that checking is much better. And now I think leading is totally fine because I rarely see Snowy check back the flop and then delay his bet. So I think leading here is fine. And the other thing is,
it's a really good card.
I think you're also going to run into a lot of bluff raises, which is fine though. So you can lead half pot and induce him to go up to $22 with diamonds or backdoor spades or 8-7.
Right.
Or even a hand like 5-4 suited, like 5-4 of hearts. So I like leading the turn. And this is kind of a weird line from your opponent's perspective. He's like, what would somebody 3-bet out of the small with and then check on an ace high board and lead the turn with? Because most guys are never checking with ace X here.
Right.
So that's why I would elect to take that line. And then here, I'm usually just leading. You might run into 8-7 some of the time, but I don't think it's enough of the time to really be a factor. And then Snowy has a lot of ace X suited that's worse than ace Jack. So, and we're never really going to run into ace King or ace Queen.
Great.
So yeah, I think that kind of goes back to my original point. We wouldn't have gotten 3 streets of value if we bet the flop there. But we gave Snowy an opportunity to bluff with all of his air on that flop, and then we still got 2 streets versus 10-9 suited. So I'm really happy with that line.